By day, you work at a job that simply doesn't satisfy you. It's likely not a career, but simply a job. It pays the bills. It puts food on the table. But it doesn't light a fire inside of you. It doesn't fill you with a sense of, I can do it. It just is. But then there's the nighttime, when the rest of the world winds down. In the late, dark hours of the evening, a creative fire gets stoked inside you. The wheels of your brain kick in, the ideas start flowing. You feel a sense of excitement and adventure. You're doing what you know you're meant to do. And yet, there's a loneliness to it all. You work in isolation while others sleep. You wish you had people to bounce your ideas off of, a shoulder to lean on when something goes wrong. Others to applaud your achievements, no matter how big or small. People to encourage you to follow your dreams and goals. Solopreneurs, dreamers, builders, creators, resellers, makers, problem solvers. Like-minded people who want something better. We're here, and we're ready to listen and to help. Welcome to the Night Shift.
That's right, folks. Welcome to the Night Shift. It is Friday, July 24th. Jeez, my goodness, we're already just about in August. Welcome back to the diner. Welcome back to the Night Shift. This is the Friday Night Hang. Everybody just kind of hanging out, talking about their past week, what's been going on, what worked for them this week, what didn't work for them, their successes, their lack of successes, problems to be solved. That's what we're all here for. Pretty excited to say that we've started lining up some guests for the show. We do want to get back to our Monday, Wednesday, Friday format. So we do have folks that are scheduled to come on. Not sure exactly when the first person's going to be. I know we've got some people scheduled already for August. But hey, we're already almost in August anyway, so we can just count that. So yeah, we've got some folks, some business owners that are going to be coming in on Mondays and Wednesdays talking about how they got started, how they found success, or what struggles they've encountered. So that's a good point of reference for anybody else who might be going through similar things. We do have quite a few YouTube resellers that are lined up, but I've got some folks that have brick and mortar businesses, online businesses, got all kinds of folks that are going to be coming by the diner and hanging out with us. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. For me, it's been a bit of a challenging week in terms of trying to get technology set up. Normally I'm a big old nerd, and technology comes pretty easy to me. Hello, southeastern Wisconsin, cheese country. Normally technology comes really easy to me, and I guess it isn't so much technology that's driving me nuts this week, but I got a new stand for my Pixel phone because I couldn't see investing in a new webcam. I mean, obviously you can see right now it looks like crap because I'm using the MacBook Air camera. The audio is hopefully better than crap because I do have a separate microphone going for that. But, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The video, it looks really awful. So I had planned on switching over my Pixel phone to be the primary camera because, hey, that looks amazing. But, the stupid stand that I bought, it sits a little too high behind the laptop, and Ellen says, I have good news for you regarding tech stuff. The Mercury retrograde ends today. Things will get smoother now. From your lips to God's ears. That's all I gotta say. From your lips to God's ears. So I spent an hour before the show tonight trying to arrange everything, and then realized that my MacBook Air only has 2 USB-C ports on it when what I really needed was 3. The adapter that I have for it with extra ports doesn't have a single USB-C port in it because I purposely got it for the fact that I had a bunch of accessories that only worked with USB-A, and I needed some way to be able to plug that into the laptop. So here I am trying to create this whole new great setup for me for, for doing everything for Misty Media on YouTube, and it's just been kind of one disaster after another. So, I think I've got a little bit of a break, but August 8th is the big Misty Media Book Fair, and I've got a lot of resellers lined up for about. I think we've got a good 4 hours worth of 4 hours worth of folks lined up for that, and I don't want to be going on the air with some really junky look. So Ellen says, I got a dongle with lots of USB ports, very useful, not too pricey. I got a really good one, like, but what happened was I got it for what my needs were then, not for what my needs are now. Um, and I'm kind of disappointed in the stand that I bought for the phone because I actually really, really love it. Um, it just sits too high. And I mean, I can raise up the laptop, but then my desk chair uh, is broken. So that doesn't raise up. So now I'm looking like, I'm a dwarf, you know, straight out of Snow White, trying to do a webcam, and this is why I could never do OnlyFans. I would be spending all my time figuring it out, and people would be like, "I spent how much money for what?" So, although when it comes to OnlyFans, they pay me to keep my clothes on. So yeah, it's been a bit of a technology screw around, and again, I guess it's not really technology. I guess it's more setup than it is anything else. Um, I'll get it figured out. I don't know how, but I will get it figured out. Uh, the AU ADHD in me just wants to throw everything on the ground and have a meltdown, but I'm doing my best to avoid that one. I'm also trying to avoid making a trip to Target. It is 117 degrees outside in Las Vegas, and there is some humidity going on from rain that we wish we would get, but just simply wants to hang out in the air. Um, I took Zeke out for his 6 o'clock walk, and he was like, "Oh hell no!" Like I'll hold it. I'll hold it for like 12 hours until the middle of the night or something when it cools down. But it's not pleasant, and I don't really remember it being this awful last summer. Lower 70s in Wisconsin. I'd love to say that I'm happy for you, but yeah, yeah, the evil side of me doesn't let me do that. Ellen says, "Yeah, what's up with this? I guess it's late July, but it was 108 here today." All those folks that say there's no such thing as global warming, and yet it gets worse every year. Um, I would be thrilled to get some rain. I really would. I would probably sit outside in it, pull up a chair, and just let it go to town. I would be thrilled. And it seems like, you know, look, it's Patrick. Hello, Patrick. So nice to see you. Um, Wisconsin has more than earned a nice summer. I couldn't handle the winters there. Yeah, I started out in upstate New York myself. Um, I have nothing but fond memories for snow. My take on it is always, I'm not afraid of being cold because you can always put on more clothes. Um, but once you get hot, there's only so much you can take off before you get arrested. And again, we go back to the thing of nobody wants to see that. So, um, yeah, I even here in my office, um, it's kind of unpleasant, and you would think that I'm on the bottom level, and uh, you would think that heat rises or whatever, but um, yeah, no, heat's perfectly happy sitting here in my office. So I've been having to kind of take my laptop to other rooms to see my fortunately the master bedroom is probably the coolest house in the room in the coolest room in the house, which means I can sleep really well. By the way, I would like to know something. Can somebody please tell me when things changed that we no longer refer to the master bedroom as the master bedroom? When did the master bedroom become the primary? I, I I've seen this on a bunch of shows now. Um, and when we were house hunting a few months ago, everything was the primary this, the primary that. Is it because is it sexist language because it's master bedroom and not mistress bedroom, or is it master bedroom because it's BDSM? Like what? I don't under. Oh, Ellen says it's a slave reference, so it's been banned. Okay, what about all the people who like BDSM? Like, does that have to be banned? I don't think that would be fair. What if you're in? What if you got? I'm asking for a friend, but like, what if you got that kind of thing going on in your life? I, I guess you could just call it the party pit, the entertainment room, the torture cellar. But it just really was bizarre. It was like a switch flipped, and it all went from all of a sudden one day it was the master bedroom, and the next day it was the primary. And then what if you have a three-bedroom house, right? Like now you're going to belittle one of the other rooms because obviously there has to be a secondary if you got a primary. So which poor bedroom gets the bottom ranking as the tertiary bedroom? Are we going tertiary? We have primary, secondary, and tertiary. And who decides which of the other two bedrooms is the lesser bedroom? Oh, you can be secondary because you've got a window that overlooks the park, but that other room, nah, no, sorry, buddy, you don't make the rankings. You're not good enough to be called a secondary bedroom. It's very bizarre to me. Um, Ellen says that would be the bonus room these days. Yeah, yeah. It's that room that when you're on the house tour and you walk in and it's a very strange room, and the real estate agent says to you, "Oh, there's so many different things you could do with this room." And you're like, "Yeah, the rubber wall goes over there, and the iron cross goes over there, and yeah, the massage table over there." Um, yep, the bonus room. Who needs pool tables? That room is called flexible guest room, craft room, or office. Eh, and yeah, flexible. No, and yeah, I can't go with flexible. It's a room. It's got at least three walls. It's just a room. I think we're. It doesn't get me excited. Somebody tells me there's a bonus room. No, ultimately I'm paying for all the rooms. So unless you're throwing in a free room that somehow miraculously appears attached to the outside of the building that wasn't there when we did the walkthrough, none of those rooms are a bonus. Ellen says, I actually went to real estate school, passed my test, but opted not to sell houses. How come? You went through all that effort and you decided not to sell houses? There's got to be a good story behind that. I thought for a while of doing a channel on YouTube that would basically be like Jay Learns, and it would be a weekly show. Uh, it wouldn't be live, but it would be basically be me learning something new, and then every week we would post that. John says somehow tertiary bedroom sounds even more kinky than master bedroom. Um, to me, tertiary bedroom is like the TARDIS, right? Like where would where else would you have a tertiary bedroom other than like somewhere that has infinite rooms? I'm like, oh yeah, Tegan used to sleep in the tertiary bedroom on the TARDIS before she left. That's kind of what I was thinking. Ellen says I had three small kids. It didn't really work for my life. They wanted me available 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. That's what cupboard doors with locks are for. Closet doors with locks. You put the kid inside, dish of food, dish of water, maybe a puppy pee pad. Uh, Lock the door so that they're safe inside for those hours. And yeah, I don't see the problem. Um, I mean, kind of sounds like a cop out. If I'm being real. Um, So yeah, I thought about doing a channel where I learn something new every week, and then I remembered, oh, I have no time to learn anything. Um, if I could just quit the stinking day job, which, oh, excuse you. Hopefully you guys didn't just hear that giant burp that Zeke the Wonder Dog just did. My goodness, have some manners, buddy. We're live. Um, Alan says, no, Jay, that's not how that works. I had kids in the 90s, not the 70s. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you couldn't get away with that in the 90s. Us Gen X kids, yeah, the Gen Xers, we were the feral children that did just fine being locked in closets uh, and being left alone. Uh, I mean, there's a reason why they ran ads. It's, do you know where your child is? No freaking clue. I liked it better that way. So yeah, the idea of me doing a channel with learning something new every week, as much as I'd like to do it, I don't think I'm going to be able to find the time to do it. Um, what is something everybody learned this week? Everybody learns something new every week. What did everybody out there learn? Everybody learned something. Tell me what you learned this week. Something new, something interesting. Um, and I've been on vacation all this week from the day job. I took a week off so that I could focus on the publishing house, um, and getting things caught up, getting books ready for publishing, and some books actually published. Um, I didn't quite hit my goals that I wanted to for the week, but it was pretty damn ambitious as it was. Patrick says, I learned something not safe for work. Well, remember, this is the night shift, uh, and and uh, and we, it's after 7, and I am in Vegas, so uh, there is nothing on this channel that is not safe for work. Everything is fair game. So feel free to share. Um, does it involve 3 people or more? And are they all sans clothing? Just asking. Just curious. So yeah, not having to go to the day job for a week was pretty awesome. I mean, I went back for the first time yesterday, um, and made it through most of the day feeling pretty good about being back. And then, you know, there's always something that comes up at the end, and it's like, yep, now I remember why I'm trying so hard to build the publishing house to be able to go back to doing that full time, and kind of get away from this. Right, Alan? I think Carol got scared off by one of the first ones she came to, which was very serious and all about business. And I don't think she realized that the Friday Night Hang is a completely different kind of show than what we do on Mondays and Wednesdays. Um, which I apologize for those of you that are actually interested in that content. Um, I had to take some time off the Monday, Wednesday shows to kind of retool it, figure out quite what I wanted to do. It wasn't coming together quite the way I wanted it to, but I really wanted to keep the Friday Night Hang because there aren't very many places on YouTube that I found where people can just get together and shoot the shit on a Friday night, that aren't actually selling something. Um, and for those of us that are, believe it or not, introverted, and don't like to go out and much prefer to stay at home, and have their community online, the Friday Night Hang seemed like a good option, and I'm hoping more people will discover us and come and hang out. Because again, you know, it, I'm not worried about topics on Friday nights. It doesn't take a whole lot of planning. It's just nice and casual. People can be sitting on their side of the screen having a beer or wine or a doobie or whatever gets them through. A Domino's pizza if you're Patrick, um, and chilling out and just being able to hang out with folks. And even if they're not right there in their living room, it's still, you know, living room adjacent, uh, which is nice. So yeah, if you folks that are there out there in the night, I feel like I'm a radio DJ. Thank you, caller, late night listener. Play Misty for me. Hey, there's a reference. There's a reference. How many of you ever saw that Clint Eastwood movie? Play Misty for me. People mistakenly think that I got the name of I named the publishing house from that. I'm not quite sure how anybody got to that conclusion. Um, it, I I mean that movie's so obscure. I can't imagine that anybody would name something after that. But just for reference, everything with Misty Media is named after something from Peru. Uh, it's all Peruvian influence. Lauren says never saw it. Yeah, it wasn't exactly like Outlaw Josie Wales or something like that that was big, but it's a pretty decent little thriller, um, with Clint Eastwood playing a DJ on an overnight shift. Um, it didn't win Oscars, but it's a decent little thriller. So if you ever get the chance to check it out, I I'm finding it's harder and harder now. I'm not enjoying streaming movies. Um, there was this belief back when streaming started that it was gonna be this access to like every movie you ever wanted to watch. Every movie you ever loved, you were gonna be able to just sort of pull it up from a library and play it, or every streaming service would have them, or you'd be able to rent your favorite. Half the movies that I want to sit and watch are not available on any streaming service at any time, and I'm not going to sit here and pay big bucks for streaming services that don't have anything I actually want to watch. I'm actually one of those people that's probably going to go back to doing actual DVDs and Blu-rays. I'm probably going to go back to doing uh, what do they call that? Not hardware, but you know, hard copy stuff, uh, stuff you can actually own, stuff that doesn't disappear, after the 31st. Alan says Outlaw Josie Wales is one of our all-time favorites. It's a great flick. It's been copied so many times. Um, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, boy, that movie's been imitated so often. Physical media. Thank you, John. That was the term I was looking for. See, when in doubt, find an author. They'll get you back on track. Physical media. Yeah, I think when they talk about how everything old is new again, you look and you see how the CD and CD sales are up and DVD sales are up. Alan says we have tons of CDs and DVDs. No DVD player right now, but we do listen to the CDs. I have somewhere in a box. I have an external DVD player uh, that attaches to the laptop, but that's the only thing I have. I don't actually, but it plays CDs also, so I can do it all through the laptop. But I want to be able to hook it up to the TV. One of these days, I'll make an investment. Um, and I mean, nowadays you can still get all that. I see so many online auctions where people are selling DVDs for $1. I still miss my mixtapes. Most of them oxidized, so they got tossed. So sad. When we moved out of uh, our last rental house into this rental house, I ditched all of my tapes, and It was one of those things where I was just kind of caught up in a frenzy of wanting to get rid of stuff I've been carting around for years, and uh, now I have some regret about having tossed them because there were some in there that probably could never be replaced, including stuff that I recorded off the radio and stuff when I was a kid. Lauren says I usually listen to CDs when I write. What kind of music do you listen to when you write? And if it has words, does it distract you too much from being able to write? Like, do you end up focusing on the lyrics instead of focusing on your writing? I find when I'm at the day job, um, I listen to a lot of it's not really techno. They kind of like they call them mind beats. It's supposed to be good for your brain to keep you ultra focused. Seems to work, but I can't listen. I really can't listen to anything with words if I'm having to do something creative. So I'm curious what you listen to on your CDs when you're writing. It depends on what I'm writing. Now that's not an answer. We talking? Give me coherent sentences here. Expand. Tell us more. It's like having a teacher in class. Johnny, tell me what you're thinking. Prove your answers. Do any of you have seasonal listening? Like, do you find that you listen to certain types of music during certain times of year? Like, are there, and I'm not talking about the obvious stuff where, uh, obviously you're going to listen to Christmas music during Christmas. And although if you're like one of these thousands of people doing Christmas in July, maybe you're listening to it in July. But do you find that any of your musical tastes are seasonal? Um, I go through, I go through weird phases that uh, summer for me is usually like 50s and 60s. I don't know why, but there's something that mixes that whole sock hop, local diner, milkshake, burger, summer fun kind of feel. Just automatically, the 50s and 60s, more 50s than anything, just become really super appealing to me. Let's see. Regina, hug tackles to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Says music with words when I'm writing first drafts, classical when I'm editing. Ooh, that's nice. I like me some classical. Ah, it's so awesome to have Regina in here. I love everybody stopping by. This is great. So yeah, I find I need like very specific concentration music to be able to focus on exactly what I need to get done. Anything with words, I for some reason it just pulls me straight out of it. But yeah, do you guys have seasonal music tastes? I'm curious if there's more than just me because uh, you're always looking for somebody to agree with you because otherwise you feel like a complete whack job when you tell people that. So 50s and early 60s for me is pretty much summer music. Not to mention Beach Boys and that kind of stuff. Regina says music just depends on my mood. Um, wintertime, wintertime, I tend to do a lot of classical. Um, there used to be a really, really terrific series of CDs. I don't think they make them anymore. I saw a website dedicated to the history of them. It was a musical series called A Winter Solstice, and they put out something like 12 CDs uh, over the years. Just really, really great recordings. I remember listening to one of them when I was at a neighbor's house when I was a kid. Uh, for we were having dinner at a neighbor's house, and I remember distinctly that CD playing, or it was a record then I think, but uh, yeah, wintertime for me tends to be a lot of classical. Um, Spring is classic rock, uh, 60s, 70s. I refuse to refer to the 80s as classic rock. I don't care what the description of vintage is. 80s is not classic rock, it's just rock. John says, I picked up an interest in big band music from my dad. For some reason, I tend to listen to that in the winter months. No idea why. I can see that. See, and for me too, it's that instrumental thing. Um, I don't know. I don't know why it hits that way, but doesn't it? Doesn't like instrumental just seem to hit harder? Not not harder in a bad way, but like better in a way in the winter months. I can't explain it, but I definitely have a musical shift that happens to to that kind of music in the winter. And yeah, hate me if you will, but I am a diehard Mariah Carey. All I want for Christmas is you. I could put that song on repeat after repeat after repeat. Um, I yeah, I'm sorry. I make those. I shouldn't have to apologize for my guilty pleasures. I should just embrace them and accept them. It doesn't make me any less of a person. The fact that I'm addicted to Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You." It may prove I don't have a lot of taste, but that's okay. Everybody has their thing. Everybody can enjoy what they want to enjoy. So is summer considered winding down, or are we considered halfway through? Um, I guess it all depends on where you're living. But what are you folks doing for summer? Are there still vacations planned on the horizons for you guys? How are you spending the rest of your summer months? Um, are you doing your best not to go outside if you can possibly help it, the way I am here in Vegas? I'm sort of moving from air conditioning to air conditioning and hoping I don't get much exposure to the rest of it. But I'm curious if people still are you know, with the economy being what it is and all, are people still doing summer vacations and uh, trips to the lake or trips to the beach? I mean, I don't have access to either here in Vegas. We barely have access to water as it is. So uh, we talked about going away to Mount Charleston and taking Zeke with us, and going up into the mountains for a couple days. But uh, we kind of scrapped that. Luis is my other half. He's very much about the beach. He grew up in Lima, Peru, and the beach was everything. It was the center of activity. Like that's just where you went. So he grew up being a beach guy. Me, I am 100% a city guy. I need, I really thrive off the energy of big cities and options. The ability to just have more options than you could possibly need for whatever it is you're looking for. Um, Vegas isn't, when I lived in the Bay Area, it was nice because San Francisco was just a train ride away, or a BART ride, and you could get to pretty much anything you wanted at any time, and uh, you had like just that big city feel, even if you weren't right in San Francisco. Vegas doesn't have that feel. Back when we were a 24-hour town, more of a 24-hour town, uh, it did. I definitely miss those days. People think of Vegas as being a 24-hour city, but really, outside of the Strip, outside the casinos, the rest of the town, when COVID hit, that was kind of it. Our 24-hour supermarkets went away. A lot of the stuff that was 24 hours a day disappeared and never came back. And I really miss that. I really miss that 24-hour feel. It was, you never worried about working a night shift, because you could get off of work and easily go grocery shop at 2 o'clock in the morning and get everything you needed, and it was really easy. And now it's, you know not so easy. Uh, Says we have the Wisconsin State Fair and a couple of county fairs to look forward to. Ooh. I can't remember the last time I've been to either a state fair or a county fair. I have a desperate need to stuff my face with funnel cake, and that's really the only place you can do it. Is at one of those. They other well, Halloween's still a ways away, um, but I know there's a couple places around Vegas that set up a not necessarily a real county fair, but they'll set up like a little carnival kind of thing. And I mean, most of it looks pretty pathetic. Uh, you can tell I'm not completely enamored with what Las Vegas has become. Everybody has this mental image of what they think Las Vegas is because it's what's marketed. And visiting Las Vegas and living in Las Vegas are two completely different things. They are two absolutely different worlds. Um, and once you live here, you never go to the casinos. I cannot remember the last time I stepped foot in one of the hotels on the strip. It's got to be at least 2 years since I've been in any of the hotels on the strip. Every Christmas, I tell Luis that he needs to take me to go look at the lights so that we can walk through the casinos, and it just never happens. But yeah, when you live here, you don't end up doing any of that stuff, unless you have you know friends that come to town for you know tourism, and and then you'll show them all around and do that stuff. But once you live here, it's just like any other. I'm gonna say small town. It's kind of like any other small town, because Vegas just isn't as big as people think it is. It's dropped into essentially a canyon. We've got mountains on four sides. You can see where you can see the walls that define where you live, um, and you know that that's the block. So yeah, it's we have like two bookstores, maybe two bookstores. I think we have two Barnes and Nobles. There's a sprinkling of used bookstores, but I mean, people don't come to Vegas to read. The problem is that everything that happens here is all about tourism and the people that are coming to visit. So nobody builds infrastructure for the people that live here year round. Um, so all the things that you would want as a resident, uh, you don't necessarily get. Um, what amazes me is how the casinos don't. They used to offer local folks a lot more perks. We used to be able to get all kinds of discounts at the casinos, and never had to pay for parking. We would get free access to certain pools during the summer at different casinos, and now they don't do any of that for the residents anymore. And with tourism down, you would think that they would be willing to do more for the locals. There's two different, for those that don't know, there's actually two different kinds of casinos in Vegas. There are the tourist casinos, and then there are the locals casinos. Um, so there's a few. There's one. There's a company called PT's, uh, and PT's is known as the locals casino. Tourists are never going to find their way into a PT's, and I don't think there's any even around the strip, if I can remember correctly. And then there's some casinos that are really kind of considered more local casinos, like South Point or Green Valley Ranch. Um, those are full on casino resorts that, again, they really push more towards the locals. So locals don't go to MGM, they don't go to Excalibur, or Luxor or any of that stuff up on the strip. We pretty much hang out at the, if we're going to go to a casino or something like that, we'll go to one of the locals. So again, two very very different worlds. And once you live here, you never find yourself going up on the strip and doing any of that stuff. Um, which is why I need to get out of this town every once in a while. I was thinking about the other day. I got to LA a couple months ago, and that was like the first time I'd been out of the Vegas Valley in a year. Um, John says I used to stay at the Mirage every year when I went to Vegas for an annual business trip. Is it still standing? No, sir. The Mirage has been purchased, um, and is in destructo mode. They are rebuilding it, but everything that was the Mirage is no longer the Mirage. It's being, I don't remember who owns it now, but it is being reconstructed. I don't know if it's being reconstructed as part of the new Hard Rock casino that's being built uh, at the end of the strip that way, or if it's going to be separate. But now the Mirage, closed they closed everything up, and all the animals from Siegfried and Roy were rehomed, and the volcano show out front all gone. Yeah. Uh, the one thing you can absolutely count on in Vegas is a constant construction and remodel. As properties get old, uh, the owners will tear them down. Everybody says the next ones to go will probably be the Luxor and Excalibur. They have not aged well. Um, I still love the Luxor. It's still one of my favorites, but yeah, if you go into Luxor, you go to Excalibur, um, they have they have seen better days. What blows my mind is that Circus is still around. When I mean everybody knows that as the Roach Motel, um, the Bed Bug Inn. I don't know how that one has survived, except that it's one of the only resorts in Las Vegas that's good if you have kids, because there's lots to do there for kids. Otherwise, you go to any of the other casinos and there's nothing to do if you're under the age of 21. So if you're going to entertain your kids, you can entertain them with a combination of clowns and bug bites. So, hey, that's entertainment. So yeah, they're building a brand new Hard Rock casino resort. The rooms are going to be a giant guitar. Um, uh, from what I saw the other day when I was kind of out that way, most of the guitar looks like is done at this point. They still got to get to the neck, which I guess will be the huge suites and things at the very top. But looks like there's a whole chunk of the main guitar is done now. Um, They're also building because we're going to have the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas, professional baseball team. So they pulled down the Tropicana Hotel, and they've started construction on the new ballpark um, and a shopping area. I guess apparently the casino resort that's supposed to be part of that is going to be the last thing to be constructed. But they've already started the construction of the ballpark and the shopping area that are going to be over there for the A's. And I think it's due to be we're due to see it open. I think somewhere next year or in 2028, but it's actually coming along pretty quickly. Um, so if you look out on the, let me tell you, Las Vegas is nothing to look at during the day. You can really tell that it's a desert. You can really tell that it's not as big as it looks on television or in movies. You realize how small Las Vegas really is during the daytime. Not a glamorous city during the day. It needs its neon lights and stuff at night. But for where I work during the day, location not disclosed, just in case. You know, if you've been with me in other chats, you know where my day job is. But uh, I choose not to talk about it just because I don't want to be one of those idiots that loses his job for talking about his job on social media. Um, I figure as long as I don't say anything about it, nobody can do anything to me about it. But uh, where I go to work every morning, I can see all the construction on the skyline, and it's pretty crazy. It's a town that's really always under construction. Ellen says, "Woohoo! It just fell to 99. I am so jealous of your 99 degrees right now. Can I just tell you, I am really jealous. Uh, I know we're still above 100 here at 7:45 at night, um, which is just insane. I am ready for winter. You'd think all the Christmas and July stuff would have had me like really excited, but uh, I'm really over the whole Christmas and July thing. It was really overdone this year. I don't know what was going on with that, but it was just really felt like it was overdone. I'm on the hunt for Halloween. I mean, Halloween's only a few months away. I need more Halloween stuff. Um, I was in an online auction the other night and was able to find a few Halloween things, but I can't be thinking about Christmas right now. Alan says, "Well, you can stop. Doug worked outside all day at 110. Why? Why? I realize you have animals to take care of and everything, but maybe it's time to train the donkeys to go pitch their own hay so that the humans don't have to suffer so much out in the heat. You know, Animals and pets need to earn their own way. I am going to start a foot fetish site for pets because I think uh, I think we have pets that need to earn their way. They're getting 3 square meals a day, a roof over their head, and what are they contributing? So I'm going to start taking pictures of Zeke's paws and putting them up for sale, and he can start contributing to the household. Ellen, last night I was actually in Pam's auction and did pick up some Halloween stuff. Uh, she's the only person I found that has had anything. Um, Pam is I really really like her shows because she's always got a mix of stuff, and it's always really reasonably priced, and she's never butchered me on the shipping, um, the way a lot of other folks have. So I tend to check out her stuff pretty often. Oh, her husband's an exterminator. Oh no, oh no, honey, no. There are two jobs I don't think I would ever be able to bring myself to do. Um, One is being a waiter, and the other is being an exterminator. Um, I literally have nightmares about waiting tables. Like this is a true actual nightmare that I have had. Is about waiting tables. Gives me absolute panic uh, at the idea of having to wait tables. I would never be able to keep orders straight. I have terrible balance. I would be dropping everything everywhere. I was a host. I was actually the first male host. Um, there was a chain out of, oh, good Lord, where were they out of? Out of Tennessee. I worked for, it was a steakhouse called O'Charlie's. Not Charlie's, O'Charlie's. Um, and I was actually the first male host. I started out as a busboy, and normally busboys then go to either waiter or kitchen. But I'm gay. I wanted to be the host. So uh, I pushed for that. That was my senior year of high school. And they let me become a host. But Alan says I paid for my wedding by waiting tables. I couldn't do it, Alan. I know my limitations. I know I wouldn't be able to keep the stuff straight. I'd be dropping shit. It would not be pretty. Alan says grew up in Bar Harbor. You could wait tables, be a chambermaid, sell T-shirts, or work with your father if he was a fisherman. I think the first two from 12 to 18. Um, I see. I'll take the retail route. Like, I mean, that's why I have 40 plus years of retail and retail management experience because um, that came easy to me and that came comfortable to me. Particularly the best job I ever had in my entire life, which was uh, Waldenbooks. Um, Runner up for best job ever. A lot of people would be surprised. Second best job ever, Blockbuster Video. Love that job. Absolutely love that job. Um, so without doubt, two best jobs ever: Walden Books, Blockbuster Video. Nothing since then has come close to either of those jobs, other than owning my own publishing house. Um, but man, Walden Books, what a great job that was. But that was a lot about the people I worked with. I mean, the job itself was terrific, but the people I worked with were amazing, and I'm still friends with a lot of them today. And I mean, that was years ago. Um, but we would get together on Sunday mornings, and like even people who are off, we would get together on Sunday mornings and have breakfast at the front of the store together. Like somebody would stop and pick up for everybody, and uh, we would all just sit down in front of the cash register at Walden Books uh, and have breakfast together. Um, when I remember going into the Christmas season, I remember there was a year where uh, we were sales were down, and uh, my district manager was adamant that if we didn't have the sales, then we couldn't have staff, and it meant working the shift by yourself as the store manager. So I would be working open to close uh, by myself, and my staff would come in and drop off food for me, or they would come in and oh, I was just in the neighborhood, and like stand there for 15 minutes so I could go to the bathroom. Um, it was an amazing staff. I mean, just the best group of people I've ever worked with in my life. Um, like I said, I'm still friends with many of them today. I would I would do anything to go back in time and go back to that job. I really would. I have nothing but good memories of it. The only reason I left was I was working in a really small town called Brunswick, Georgia, which if anybody knows anything, has ever heard of Brunswick, it's down in the bottom right corner of Georgia, and its only claim to fame is that the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center is there, which does mean you get hot military guys coming through, which was a plus. But other than that, there's nothing to do in Brunswick. The mall was really the center of the community. But every time I tried to apply for a promotion out of there, um, my DM would purposely not submit my paperwork, would purposely not mention to anybody that I was applying for it, because she knew how hard it would be to replace somebody in Brunswick, because nobody was going to move to that town and take it over. Warren says, my best job was working at the public library when I was in high school. That would be a pretty cool job. Um, that was the best job I had in high school. Uh, I got out of PE class because, well, gay. Um, I got out of PE class by working in the school library my senior year, and that was just awesome. That was the best. I mean, if you like, see, I was destined to work with books. It was just, I mean, it was meant to be. It was Besheret. It was meant to be. Public library. What did you do at the public library? Were you just mostly like putting books back on the shelves? Were you working at the checkout counter? Yeah, it's a job I would have really liked at Florida State. Um, the library was one of my absolute favorite places to be on the campus of Florida State. There was a Strozier Library, was not too far from my dorm, and because of where it was on the quad, you pretty much had to walk past it if you were going anywhere on campus. And I always wanted to work at Strozier. It was one of those libraries that had been around for so long, and it had, because it didn't have carpeting, it had a completely different smell to it than a library with carpeting does. I don't know if I can explain that well. But if you've ever been in a library that has, you know, hard floors, polished floors, that library and its books smell different than a library that has carpeted floors. Um, I, it's a sensory thing. I don't, like I said, it's hard for me to explain that. Hopefully, people can kind of understand that experience. But I think working at the library would public library would be awesome. Let's see, shelving books and getting magazines and reference material from the basement for the patrons. Oh, that's cool. Remember when libraries used to have magazines? Remember when libraries used to have microfiche? Remember when libraries used to have card catalogs? I was thinking about that the other day. If I do I still remember how to use a card catalog? I haven't I haven't had a reason to in many years, but I would really I almost want to test myself. If I need to go look something, if I need to go use the card catalog to go find a book, could I? I wonder if there are any libraries that still use card catalog systems. I mean, I guess maybe in some of the far-flung rural libraries that could still be the case if they haven't been able to catch up with the technology due to funding or something like that. But uh, it I never thought I'd be getting so freaking nostalgic at my age. I mean, I'm still fairly young. Remember when libraries used to be quiet places? Yeah, I mean before they had 3D printers and you know noisy story times and all the other chaos that goes on with it. There's a branch of the library here in Las Vegas that I had to stop going to because it was just it always seemed like it was chaos whenever I went in there. But I'm with you. Uh, Florida State. So I was at Florida State when the internet was just becoming a thing. I mean, there was no there. You were still doing local BBS dial-up stuff, um, but Dirac Science Library at Florida State had computers in the basement that were connected to other universities, and there was an online world called Foothills um, that I remember going, got obsessed with. Uh, but I mean, it was down in this like everybody that was down there using the computers. The lights were always off. It was always dark. The only lights were from the screens of the computers, um, and everybody just kind of hung out, you know, doing that. It was very cool. Caught a guy in the stacks exposing himself to his girlfriend. I just walked away. Pics or it didn't happen. Pictures or it didn't happen. Libraries are great places to be naughty. There are so many. Uh, uh, I'm I'm not speaking from personal experience. Uh, yeah, I would have no way of knowing that personally. Yeah. There's something about a library. Sorry, there just is. There's something about a library. Strozier Library was a big hookup place at Florida State, particularly because in 93 No, I graduated in 93. So let's talk more like 90, 91. Um, it was one of those places that the LGBT crowd would go to meet. Uh, every the LGBT crowd would go uh, to hang out and to meet. Hello there. Uh, Welcome from Nigeria. I don't know how you stumbled across my channel, but and the Friday Night Hang, but welcome. Um, Glad to have you here. Good grief, it must be late wherever you are. And we're starting to wind down here anyway from the Friday Night Hang. Um, so a little bit, just a little bit of housekeeping. We will be returning to Mondays and Wednesdays uh, starting next week with the main point of our shows, focusing on folks that are looking for the business help and some camaraderie in solopreneuring. Uh, so we will be returning to that on Mondays and Wednesdays. Fridays will always be the Friday Night Hang, so everybody's always welcome to come in and hang out. We love to have everybody here. Please mark your calendars for August 8th, which is the first annual Misti Media Book Fair. We've got a lot of great resellers lined up who are going to be selling book and book adjacent stuff for helping out First Read, which is a really great organization providing books for kids that are in uh, difficult areas and are lacking the access to resources for books. And educators are uh, lacking the funds to be able to get the books for their classrooms. Everything we raise, um, we're going to be donating to them, and hopefully that will really help out that charity. And like I said, it's the first annual, so we'll see how it goes. We've got a good 3 or 4 hours scheduled, I believe, of resellers. Uh, so uh, Definitely looking forward to that. Those folks will. I really appreciate everybody who's agreed to be a part of that. Very much appreciate that. Um, we'll still be continuing to do the every other Tuesday night with Linda K. Hardy and I, talking about different topics of the publishing world and what's going on in publishing. The author point of view, the editor point of view, and the author point of view. So we'll be back. Let's see. We did skip the show this past Tuesday, so I think we're not back on for a little bit yet. Also, I've got some unboxing coming because it's kind of rare for me to buy our own books for me to keep here in the office. But I've recently ordered one of each of our titles that I didn't have. So I'm going to be doing an unboxing video coming this week. I do want to congratulate my author publicly, Deborah Goldstein, who has been nominated for a Silver Fanchon Award from Killer Nashville for Best Short Story Collection. Her short story collection is with our bellies full and the fire's dying. Um, Really, really proud to have published that for her, and really, really excited that she's being nominated for such a big award. Good for her. She's a very talented author, and really, really proud of her. And hey, she makes us look good too, right? Never hurts to be the publisher behind a major award nominated book of stories. So yeah, keep up with us. Please hit that old thumbs up button there. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Remember that we are not monetized in any way, and we don't sell anything on our channel. We survive completely off of the books that we sell as a publishing house. So please do look over our catalogs. Buy them direct from us or from your favorite retailer. Or when you buy direct from us, we get to hold on to a lot more of the money, and the authors get to see a lot more royalties. Um, so we really appreciate all the support that especially the reselling community of YouTube has given us. And big hugs right back to you, Ellen. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Thank you for the congrats, Regina. So yeah, just building our own little community out here on this side of the internet after dark. Um, Love to have you all back. Keep up with us. Keep watching the channel for more shows coming. And everybody have yourself a really good night. Find a good book. Come back. Tell me all about it. Take care.